Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me this week. My name is Nichelle Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Nichelle Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. And this week, kicking off this month of December earlier, that I started this particular month of short stories. This will conclude the last week around releasing the full short because the length of it is very short. And this will provide you some new characters, revisiting some other characters introduced in season 1 and season 2. So hopefully you got to enjoy the previous weeks. One particular week was dedicated to my director clip notes because again I decided I want to keep that up to date, keep it close to when I previously released it. You get to share in my director clip review of that particular episode, point out some things and therefore. Alright, so I just like to do my opening. This is a premium podcast. If you want to be a patron, please look at the link that I have in the description where it will take you to my Patreon page. Those are for when you want to be able to get the full short story when I do my clip snippets. Most of my podcast shows are clip snippets, or I might have, like this week, a special month or a special week around releasing the full short. All right, so this basically for this podcast brought about with my production, which is my heart, MOLIAE. It is based on my book, Mitsrayim. It is a memoir. Now it's a theatrical production, and it went from a stage play, webso, short film, now a podcast. I do other short stories themed besides Egypt, because that's where the title comes from, basically, and beyond, because I love writing stories. Now, currently, MOLIAE production is in the prep phase for the third return back to stage, and it will be entitled Prestige Return of MOLIAE Stage Play. All right, so once I got that out the way, let's talk about the highlights for today that will focus on, again, the short stories. And for today, December 31st, it will be episode 42, entitled When Love Was Divine. And this is where we are able to take a look and get an understanding of how close that Queen Hagar and Princess Hannah is, basically. Okay, and this is where we are able to see that their connection, even though they're not together spiritually, they are intertwined, and how Princess Hannah always followed what her mother and father said. So she always believed in the protocol. In the book, if you got to read my book, and even in the play, because the play, The Prestige Return of MOLIAE, is going to be based on the timeline of the book. But again, some of the characters from this podcast timeline, which is before Princess Amina, will be in the play. But Princess Hannah is special in the sense that she struggled with looking at Princess Amina, how her life will change if she followed what their parents wanted. But before, Princess Hannah always followed what Mahlon and Queen Hagar made of her because it was the royal protocol. But she ended up not giving too much, not getting what she really desired. She just followed the rule, and she supported Amina, especially in the book time frame, to go with her gut, to go with her heart. All right, so got that out the way. So last week we had episode 41 to do my recap, and basically it was King Mahlon reigned supreme in the Sudan, and he returned back on the scene and told those rulers, okay, I know most of you evidently wasn't with me. Then you went so far and sided with the Orions and so forth, but I'm going to catch every single one of you, and it will be somebody's going to get it. Pretty much what he came back to say. And we met up with two new characters, King Mahlon, which is from the book of Mitsrayim. Now, at that time he wasn't really actively around, but his name came up a lot because that was the deal. Okay, I'm going to bring this up in my director clip, but that was the deal between King Mahlon and King Mahlon. It's in the preface of my book that set the deal for Princess Amina and King Domain. King Domain is important. Okay, he will be in the stage play. He's definitely an adversary. He's something. And Daniel made his entrance. He will be the king of Kodesh. And Daniel is very tied to Amina. He's definitely in the book of Mitsrayim, and he will be in the Prestige Return of the stage play. Both Daniel and Domain was with it in the beginning. They made their debut in those theatrical releases, and they will be in the Prestige. But Daniel is the first king out of that timeline to make it into the podcast, and now he's only 8. So you got to check out that episode, okay? And definitely check out the director clip when I talk about that episode 41 in my director clip notes. So let's begin. For this week of my season 2 podcast show, Nichelle Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. For this week podcast entitled Episode 42, When Love Was Divine. Opening scene. In Mitsrayim, we see Queen Hagar and Princess Hannah at their meditation session before Princess Hannah will proceed for her mystery school of thought. Princess Hannah was smiling up at her mother as they concluded their sessions together. Princess adored her mother and treasured these quiet moments alone to bond forward. So did Queen Hagar, and returned the smile as she held Princess Hannah close. They started to look outward to the horizon of their new Apsu, continuing to bring light over Mitsrayim. In the far distance, the Nile was seen as well from their balcony in the Abbas palace. Soon they knew they would have to return to the others, as her parents, Elder Tahib and Queen Mother Mammy, would be waiting for them for their series of other duties planned, as now Queen Hagar was showing the new in her growing more. King Mahlon was still in the southern part of the Sudan at the commune of rulers. Queen Hagar tried to hide her concern, but Princess Hannah picked up the emotions of her mother and spoke. "Mother, I feel that my father will return well, for the Ether ones have him closer to them at this time." Queen Hagar beamed down to her daughter. "Indeed, he will return. You will be a wise queen in the Apsu of the Sudan." Princess Hannah beamed as she so loved to please her mother. "I know you love my father, and so do I. As you said before me, that deeds done by others is of their choice, so we must still live to the life of anew." She eyed her mother to make sure she spoke right. Queen Hagar nodded. "Yes, Hannah, you are remembering the wisdom I have been teaching you." Princess Hannah sat up straight now. She received her confirmation of approval from her mother. "I always listen and obey your wisdom and my father's." She nodded. They embraced as suddenly there was a knock on the door. One of the royal female attendants near the door entrance opened it, and it was Helig, the high-rank military officer and assigned secret spy of Queen Hagar and King Mahlon. Helig had a rolled-up papyrus scroll and handed it to Queen Hagar. Within moments, Elder Tahib, her father, entered the quarters after learning of a message being delivered to the Queen that was authorized to inform Tahib, as deemed necessary as well. Queen Hagar stood up holding Princess Hannah's hand as she received the message and read it. The message was in Sumerian cuneiform. She read the message to herself. "In this Apsu, although I am not with you, and Hannah, know that in our love it bonds us to feel that we are so together as one. I will return back to Mitsrayim in the coming Apsu of 7. Mahlon." She raised her head backward to observe the words of comfort as tears formed. Her father, Elder Tahib, came to hug her for comfort as Princess Hannah hugged them both. End scene.